Hello everybody and welcome back to City Skylines with me, TDavy1. In this episode we're going to be doing lots and lots with the park DLC, as well as some beautification stuff to try and highlight the best things you can do in vanilla with the vanilla game when it comes to detailing and the small little minutiae stuff. But first and foremost, we need a little catch up on this, because my HD capture card failed, and this should have been an episode that isn't. This is a big old grand area that we built up last episode, as well as some other little things. It is a massive addition to this high density area. Yeah, this is Green Park. It has the modern city centre theme on it. It has a couple of little policies as well. Population is climbing to 5,000 to 6,000 population, because some of these houses are not max level yet, so that business is not max level. That is about to click into level 4. We are waiting on a few of them just to go to do their education, and then they will be popping up to a next level. So this is going to be very tall next to our Green Cities part district here, which is also high density. So with that additional population, we have just clicked into the 44,000 as well. When it comes into that, I've just noticed a traffic issue over here. Let's get on with the episode and let's get on with some detailing stuff. We did do a little bit of detailing last episode, but you obviously didn't see that because the the capture card broke down. So we made this nice little cute area over here. We put some trees in here just to block the sound and the smell of this pollution. Done a couple of little extra trees along the highway just to buffer the sound. So we're just going to do a little bit more of that, but I want to concentrate on up here. So this is a nice little castle that in the game, if you go to delete it, the game will say, are you sure you want to do this? Because it's you can't replace these structures. They're in the game, they're locked in. The same for this stuff over here as well. Oh, you can delete that, but yeah, you shouldn't be deleting that, but that's very cool stuff. I'm just going to delete that one to even it up now. Wish I didn't do that, but oh well. So yeah, we're going to make a park in here, and then we're going to be doing some detailing as well afterwards. So let's just get the actual park stuff in. And I'm thinking, because we have a city park over here, this pearl garlands around the observational tower looks awesome. We are then going to do a non city park over here. I have put some amusement park stuff in this one as well, just to add a little bit extra. So a couple of gamer arcades and a bumper cars, just because I think they're kind of cool. We have got the little tram going through here as well. I haven't shown you that because that was last episode as well. I love it. I love the tram. It looks really cool. I was gutted last episode didn't happen, but we shall move on. I do have a system for that never happening ever again, and it's called having 2 save files and not saving one of them until the episode is released. And then I have a backup episode, don't I? Which makes perfect sense. So yeah, I'm thinking a little nature reserve in here, just very similar to Norwich Castle. Norwich Castle is just a nice little cute park, or little walkways and stuff with lots of trees. So I'm just going to throw in a couple of these gates in different parts of this circle, just in a couple of different spots. So we've got about 4 spots where I've left gaps for these parks, and then we're going to do some nice pathways in and around here as well, just try and get them to climb the tree. What I would like to do is to do a nice perfect circle around here. Let's get rid of road guidelines and let's see if we can actually get this to do some sort of a circle in the best way possible. It's still got gridding and road length on, which is making our lives a lot easier. And that is pretty perfect, if I say so myself. I'm very happy with that. I would like, if I could, I would love to put a fence in there as well. I would love to put a fence in there. That would be amazing. If we could just line this park, this pathway with a fence, just to stop people getting in, maybe. Let's see if we can do this as well. There we go. There we go. So that will stop people getting to the tower. You don't want people going there and causing vandalism. A little bit of role play, as you've got to do in this game. And now we have a path that we can build off when it comes to all of these other little the entrances, which hopefully these nodes are not going to be far off where I want them to be, so that's not dreadful positioning. So we can just do some sprawling pathways off here in a little spirally like pattern. That is really cool. And then off there we can just build some little things. I don't want too much. I think it's just a couple of like little viewing decks maybe from the center, just in each side. And then maybe a couple of little lean-to shelters, maybe just in the area that we can go and link up. And that might be about it. And then otherwise we'll just put in some like nature stuff and lots of trees and other little bits like that. Don't want anyone. Maybe a little campsite. Yeah, just put a couple of little campsites in. We're just going to dot them about and then we'll run past to them once we've got in a place that we're happy to have them. Just trying to use different things as well. Make sure we don't use the same thing every time. And maybe this side can be a little lean-to shelter. And that would be good. And then we can just run some different little intricate pathways to them. Let's find the nature reserve park there. And we need to make sure it's there. So just bend him in like that and he matches up. Now, with all them paths in and all connected up, I don't want to add too much more else to this area because it's going to get very cluttered when it comes to the actual park DLC. So it's only going to get to about 1 star. So we're expecting that. Maybe 1, maybe 2 stars. Can't actually click on the policy when it comes to the park stuff because I can't get access to it. I have to go through here. So yeah, it is going to level up once at least, maybe 2 times, but it's not going to get any higher than that. It is also a nice little cut through for people to use, so it is going to be quite a busy one because it is a nice shortcut. And the game, if you can make shortcuts using parks, it will make you lots and lots of money. That is a little bit of a cheat in this game. I'm just trying to be realistic with it, and that is why I like to cut the prices of my parks down quite a bit. So I wouldn't even charge, like I'd charge like a dollar just or a quid just to pop through the park, and then you can get on your merry way. So if you're coming in to visit, you just pop in like that, and then we can just kind of decorate it up with some other little things. We have done some nice decorating stuff with bushes in some lines. If we shoot over to your Brixton, which is still crying out a couple of times, different things, you do something a little bit more like this. So you just line some pathways with some bushes, for example, some trees as well. If you want to go see an episode where I do that, that is, I can't remember what episode it was, but it was quite a while ago where we do some nature reserve stuff and we put some rocks in. So we're going to take that kind of inspiration for that natural look and we're going to implement it into here because this is a very busy, high density area and we want some little bit of green, a little bit of life and a little bit of niceness really, just to lighten up the mood. So we're going to start with the bigger things, which is probably a rock. Let's see what kind of rocks we can get in here. Now these rocks are very big, but a couple of these we might be able to squeeze in somewhere. That would be great if we could. For example, that guy will fit in there if we just play around with him ever so slightly. There we go. So now I've got a big rock up here, and that looks quite good up against that campsite as well. Because we have that campsite there and we have that rock there, I'd like to add a couple of the extra rocks maybe into the side of that main rock, just to try and cope it in a little bit and tuck it inside so it's not as big. I don't want the big ones, I want the small ones. Just get rid of that actually. And then we can add in maybe a couple of little rocks just in there as well. That goes very well with the nature park, which already has the tiny little more pebbles on the pathway, so that is very good. Now we have a nice little inlet when it comes to this little campsite, so you can just come in here and tuck up, and then just add a little bit of greenery to the area, not too close though, just a couple of bushes for example, and then we get some of the vegetation just to sit underneath these as well, and just try and thicken that up, so just so you can't see the edge of that slope because it looks a little bit dirty and a bit disgusting. That looks alright. We may add one more extra texture in there. Always start from the bottom to the up if you can, either big or small, like big to small, or from bottom up is the way I like to do detailing. So now we've got some vegetation in the ground, I can just pop some trees in here, just add a little bit of extra texture and a little bit extra colour in there. And already you can see that this quadrant over here looks a lot more alive than these other 3 quadrants. So we're just going to try and replicate this in similar ways, just using rocks, using this beautification stuff. For a different quadrant, I might do something a little bit different. We might instead go into the park stuff. So in here, you keep scrolling, you can access some other things. You've got some little signs, you've got some benches, you've got some flooring, you've got other little bits that you can do some role play with that you can really try and add to the area. So over here, next to this lean-to shelter, we might add in some nice flooring just to add a nice little base in. And once we've got the flooring in, we then may add a fence around it as well, just because we can. So let's go in, grab a fence, probably the little nature reserve fence, because that matches up very nicely. Get the straight lines, just go around the edge of that, just fence that one in. We may even just run it up to about there as well. So that's now all fenced in. And what you can do that is in here as well. If you are in the nature reserve stuff, it brings up nature reserve stuff. But if you flick over to this one here, which is props, if you scroll right to the end, other little things like a kiosk pops up, and they are really, really cool. So maybe you just want a little kiosk in here where you can buy some snacks in the corner and other little bits like that. If you go into the city park tab as well and scroll right to the end as fast as we can, some other little things pop up as well. So you've got maybe an ice cream van, a little kiosk in the corner that you can pick up some foods. And then because we've done that and we're in the nature reserve, we're now going to want some benches. So you can then just throw some benches down for people to come and sit at and enjoy. And that just really adds a little bit to this area. It's absolutely nothing. It adds nothing to the game apart from looks wise. And I think it really does set the game apart, really, is you can do these little bits and you've got the patience for it and you can take your time. These are the little things that look great. Just have a little scroll through to try and find things that you do like, and yeah, just adds to it. Maybe put a little sign in as well, just to say, hey, this is what this is all about. Maybe it's in memory of someone, or someone, you know, used to love this park. Just try and role play it and go with it as well. Gonna need an outhouse maybe, so you're gonna need a little toilet in here as well, so you just throw a toilet over there as well, just so people can go spend a penny if they wish. And then once you've done all of that stuff, you can then go into the greenery and you know, pick out some trees and pick out some colours to add in. So because this looks very council built and very specialised, the council may not be using the green trees, they may not be using the standard trees that you'd find everywhere else. They may have planted some nice pink trees to add in a little bit of colour, so just add in a little bit of colour like that. Maybe throw in a couple of bushes along here as well, just so it looks like it's very designed. If you go into the city park tab, when it comes to parks, there are some other little bits that you scroll past as well. So you could have a hedgerow instead of the fence if you wanted, or other little bits like that, just to add in a little bit of texture, a little bit of shape. That is great. So other little bits like that, if you feel like doing it, really can elevate the game. We're just going to keep on doing it now. Maybe with a little bit of a time lapse of me just going through, picking out some different areas and picking out some different colours and trying to elevate and lift this park so it looks very, very good to perfect. There we go then. I'm very happy with that. It looks a lot better than it was before. Just added a little bit of colour to the area and really fluffed it out and filled it out as well. So the castle is still the focal point. It is in the centre. It is up the highest. It is in the middle as well. It is fenced off. So it is very, very important, as that is still the focal point of the area. But everything else kind of just helps everything else blend in, really. The more you add to something, you can overdo it, but the more you add, just kind of fills in the void, and it can take away from other little things. So these now are less glaringly obvious to be there. Now they're tucked up a little bit more. So I may even add a little bit of vegetation underneath this one, for example, just so it looks like it's a little bit better off. And then you could add some bushes as well, just to hide it up a little bit more. Maybe there's a bush over here in that corner. That kind of thing really can help a park like this look a lot better and really clean it up. Now, let's do exactly the same, but over in the city park. So the city park is just over here. We have placed in everything that I want in the area. So we have some arcades like we spoke about earlier. We have some bumper cars. We have the park booth. We have a tram track running through the middle of the park as well. Looks really cool. This is a great idea if you want something to do with your park, is to add something like this that comes into your park and then goes back out. I think it looks cracking, looks really, really good. We've broken up this side, there's no fence on this side, so there's a few shops inside the park as well. It looks great. So now we just need to add some colour, and we need to pick out some different textures. Let's go into the city tabs again, go into the parks tab and go into the city park tab. I've just said city park and tab about 4 times there, and we'll pick this boy out. So I want to have something like this. It looks really, really good and really, really nice on the floor, but we want to try and highlight that and elevate it so it looks really, really nice. And the best way of doing that is to go back into your props and picking out some of these other little things. So you have some statues. I could line this park with a statue on either side as an entrance, so that is now an entrance into this little area, is a statue either side. Maybe you like that, maybe you don't. I'm not a massive fan of the statues. I think they're a little bit too big. I think they're a little bit too bold for this area. What would be cool, oh, how about that? A nice little over the head, over the top little rock that you can walk underneath. That looks really, really cool to boot, about 40 foot in the air because of the observational tower. So yeah, now let's go through. Let's add in some more flooring for this park, and then we can add some extra things to it. So just, you know, try to line it up the best you can. It's not easy, this stuff. It's not exactly the easiest stuff in the world, but you just try and get used to it. You get used to how to line them up as fast as you can, and obviously wherever you place them is very important, because you can then line them up easier, because once it's all lined up, it's easy to recreate and make it look beautiful. Now we can go and line it up with maybe some of this fencing that's already been used, or this hedgerow should I say. You can just add some hedgerow just around the edges of this. There we go, all of that is in. So now we have a nice little area that we can go and play around with and do whatever we want with. We can go in here, maybe for example, just as a centerpiece, have a cannon. That'd be quite a cool little thing. I think it's a nice little centerpiece to this area. It's just to have the cannon in the center when you walk in. And then we can pick out some benches. Maybe we want some different benches around the place for people to have some food. Obviously you have to be careful with the placement, because in the center right here it says I can't place because it's already occupied. That is where the floor tile is. So the game is considering that is the spot where the floor tile is. So you just have to place it slightly off center, and then it will allow you to place very easily with no real issues. And then, like we've already discussed, there are some little kiosks, so maybe we want a kiosk on the other side. You can go grab some food, and that is wonderful. So you don't have to go to the City Park Cafe if you don't want to. You can just come in here, pick up a bite to eat from one of these kiosks, and chill out. And then at night time, because it will get dark at some times, you're going to need some lighting, so you just pop some lights in as well. And that is another example of a little thing you can just do. So this is what you can do inside a park. Now, we already know, because I showed you at the start of the episode, you can do this outside of the park area. This is not a park area. This is outside of it. But what it is it's very, very close to this road. So this gazebo, for example, right here, is functional, is working, because it is near the road. Let me just show you how to place one of these, just for an example. So I'm just going to pick out another little spot very, very quickly just to highlight something that we can do. Let's go over to a different area all entirely. Let's go over to here, for example. Here is a nice dead little empty space that we have lots of room to do some great stuff with, and it could do with filling out. So we need some greenery over here, we need some shrubbery, we need some happiness, we need some beautification. So first and foremost, we want something that is functional. So we want our stuff to be outside of the parks to look good, but also to be functional. So a gazebo in here as a community thing. Look how far away I can place this from a road, as long as it is pointing towards a road. That is right, I could place that all the way over there, and the game will allow that to be a thing. It was not going to say this can't be used, it will be used. All it's going to do is just make people teleport to it. So instead of people teleporting to it and making it a little bit weird, we can add in a path or something. We can add in anything just to make that good. So let's pick out maybe this nice standard park in here, pathway in here, should I say, and then just draw that in from the entrance to the side of the road so it looks like it is well to do and planned out. And then all you have to do is add in some extra things around here to make it look really cool and fun. So maybe all of these shops in here, when some people come in here to do their shopping, kids are going to be bored, aren't they? Kids are going to be bored and they're going to want a play area. Here is a great spot for a play area, so let's put one in. Now this is the functional part. The gazebo is the part that is functional. Everything else we are now about to do is going to be beautification stuff. So we're going to need some flooring. When it comes to flooring, and the flooring that I think looks best when it comes to that, you know, that soft chip stuff as a kid that you play on, I think is this zoo stuff. So in here in the zoo is this brown stuff. I think it looks like that soft chip stuff that you don't get hurt on if you fall off when you're a kid. I think that is great, so we're just going to fill out a couple of bits in here with that, and then on top of that we're going to go into the props. Let's maybe even change the angle of that and just try and make it a nice little natural shape ever so slightly. There we go. Not great, not perfect, but it is functional and it is good. We can fill in that gap with some shrubbery if we want, just to clean that up and just tidy it up and just make it hide away a little bit. There you go, some nice bushes, a tree, then you can't spot that gap at all. No need for that to be there. You can only spot it when you look at a certain angle, and that's, you know, you can just quickly forget about that. No worries about that. And just add in a couple of bushes just to hide around the back end of here as well. Add in some trees to fill in the void, and maybe even a nice little rock on the other side just to play around with as well. Some nice low vegetation. You know, you want some vegetation in here just to break up this grass, because it is a little bit meh in the base game. We don't want all of that. There you go, some nice vegetation in and around the rock as well. Add in a tree around the rock, for example, as well, just to tidy him up, and maybe one nice little pink tree by the entrance of the gazebo. That looks great. It is functional. You can see people walking to it to have a nice little day. And then we can add in the stuff that will make the kids happy. Well, it's not going to make the kids happy because they can't actually use it in this game, but we can roleplay that they do. So in here there is some little climbing frame stuff. They only cost $10 to place in, so here we go. Pop in a couple of little bits like that. So here is one of them. We'll maybe pop in the other really big one as well, just so they can have some fun. And then you've got a couple of littler ones that are for the younger of the kids, as well as these one of the little roundabouts that are great for putting kids in A&E, but we won't talk about that too much. And then maybe just one of these extra, like a standing stone, just as a little homage to something. That was kind of cool as well. There are other little bits. You could add a kiosk, for example, a little newspaper stand kiosk, so the parents can come here and grab a newspaper and sit at the gazebo while their kids play. And that is that. So yeah, another great example of a little beautification tip and little trick that you can do in and around little areas like this, just to fill them out and just to tidy them up. So look how much better that already is as a focal point compared to all of this other dead empty space. That's how I end the episode with a little view of this little bad boy, because I think he is gorgeous. And we will say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. I have been TDavid1. This is City Skylines Vanilla Series. Nice little bit of detailing episode this time out. Something a little bit different, something a little bit more slower paced, hopefully. Something more that we can all get behind, because beautiful things are great in this game. Like and subscribe and share it if you found it interesting. Maybe this is something that you want to share to your friends. So hey, you don't need mods to do detailing in City Skylines. That is a myth. And as always, peace out.